Does your relationship with a teen seem hopeless? Teens of today face so many heavy issues, from bullying to pregnancy. They want someone to turn to, but they aren't sure where to start. We've got some answers. This is Tools for Teen Transformation with Lily Williams. We can provide tools to help teens and their parents see things a bit differently and open up the lines of discussion. Now, here's Coach Lily.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to Tools for Teen Transformation Radio, and I'm your host, Coach Lily Williams. I am a John Maxwell certified life coach, consultant, speaker, and trainer, and I am owner and CEO of Perfecting Destiny Coaching Services. We help teens to become productive citizens and to live their best lives by helping them to fall in love with themselves and to get rid of limiting beliefs, thoughts, and ideas that does not add value to them. We can change teen behavior by changing what and how teens think. Our topic for today is going to be tips to increase teens' self-esteem. In our show today, we're going to be examining strategies to increase self-esteem in our teens and our young adult population. Now, some of these strategies are research-based, while some of them are just strategies that our guest, Mr. Woodall, and me, that we have used in the school systems where we have worked. Now, we will be sharing hands-on strategies with you today, our radio audience, and we've raised teens in our own homes, so we are considering ourselves a pretty good source of information for you this morning. Yeah. Now, Mr. Goodall, I'm going to let you introduce yourself to our radio guest. I'm passing the mic to you.
Okay, well, good morning, and we do thank you for inviting us on today. My name is Maurice Goodall. I am a pastor, and I'm also an assistant principal at Kinston High School in Kinston, North Carolina. I do pastor a church in LaGrange, North Carolina, and I'm also married to Sabrina Goodall, and we've been married for 28 years. We have 3 children. All of our children have gone through school and are in. One is married, which is Victoria. She's married, and the 2 others are in college right now. So, and I work at a high school. I've been working here now for in the Monroe County Public Schools for over 26 years. And so I do know what it's like to deal with young people and dealing with so low self-esteem as well. But I'm a graduate of North Lenore. I have also a graduate of Grand Canyon University as well. So I feel like I can share some things about low self-esteem today.
I think you can too. And Pastor Goodall is Pastor Goodall, then he's school administrator Goodall, then he's Father Goodall. So if I just say Mr. Goodall, I guess I can cover them all today. But yes, Mr. Goodall, we appreciate you being with us this morning because we know that you have such a vast array of knowledge. Having dealt with teens, I know you've dealt with middle school, you've dealt with high school, and we have dealt with a lot of children. Now, we want to deal with this self-esteem issue today because you and I both know that a lot of teenage behavior is governed, pretty much all of it is governed by the way they think.
That is so true. That's definitely so true. And really, self-esteem is really having lack of confidence and feeling bad about oneself. And a lot of it has to do with, some of it has to do with your culture as well, your upbringing and where you've come from and how your support system, people that are around you have talked to you, or even from bullying that you may experience in school, that can create it and cause it to take place. And like I say, it's just bad feelings about oneself, lack of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And people with low self-esteem often feel unlovable. They also feel awkward and incompetent about themselves. And that's something that we just have to deal with, and it's something that can be conquered as well.
You mentioned one word right there that I'm going to want you to talk just a minute about, the culture.
Mm-hmm.
And when
Yes,
you said
ma'am.
the culture, let's talk about that a minute, because a lot of times we don't think that is very important, or we overlook that when we're addressing self-esteem in our teenagers.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Like I said, I'm a young black man, and when I was coming up, I did not have a father in my home, and it was ladies that was basically raised me. But my mother and my grandmother allowed me. Well, there were men that were significant in my life though as well, and so I got an opportunity to also, and the men were people that were in the church and people that were in school, well-known people in the community, and some were principals and teachers, but they poured into me at that time, and there was a sense of, at that time, a sense of self-worth that they had, and they wanted to instill that within me as well. And it seems as if today, our culture today has changed so much, because you don't have that true support base as you may have in the past. And I'm referring to in the black community at this time. And it's not only just in the black community, but it's in other communities as well. So everybody has a different culture. So if you may come from even a high economic place, usually most of the time, a lot of kids may have good self-esteem there, but it doesn't mean that you can't have it in a low state, a low income as well, because I believe that. I myself, I felt like I came from a poor, low type family, but at the same time, they loved me and taught me like self-worth, to have, to be confident within myself and the things that we did. And I think some of that's missing in the homes today. And I believe that's where really, low self-esteem begins, or high self-esteem, or having good self-esteem begins at home.
I think you're exactly right. Now, and when we talked about culture this morning, something else came to my mind too, Pastor Goodall. When you mentioned the family, one activity that I had run across when we're dealing with teens with low self-esteem, one activity that we ran across was that if we would ask them to draw what they call a coat of arms, and that's, just a little emblem, and have about 5 or 6 blocks in it, and you put in that block your family crest. And that was what we found to be very, very important, your family, which you just mentioned. If the families are able to pour into the teens more than anybody else, because they're with them longer than anybody else and more than anybody else. So if we can get our teens to respect our families and the culture that they've come from. And when we say that word respect, we got to talk about what it looks like and what they should be doing. And if we can get our teens to be a part of a family, and to value, when you talk with us, you were talking about how you value the interactions that you had. So I think our radio audience need to know today that one of the things that we do to try to build their confidence and improve their self-esteem is to have them to value the family and the cultures that they're with. You think?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And that's that's a very important piece, the family, because family is really the foundation of any society. And I believe that. And then it builds off of that. the Lord himself started out with the family and built from that. And when she, started out, of course, with the first man and the woman, and of course they failed, but he implemented his word back through Abraham, and then you have from Abraham, Isaac to Jacob to Moses, and then you have the children of Israel, and where in that same manner, everything starts, I believe, with family, and then builds upon that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you have to, and so family values, if you have a confident father in the home, a confident mother in the home, they're going to instill confidence in that child. I love the way my wife does it. We have girls, and she pours into them, and I pour into them as well. But I want to look at the aspect of how she does it. She spends a lot of time with them. She teaches them lady things to do, how to be a lady, and so she mentors them. And I believe that another piece too, when you see a child that has low self-esteem, is they need actual positive reinforcement. And things and praise is another thing that will help. But that positiveness, that positive reinforcement, and the positive support, because they're going through a conflict if they're in low self-esteem, and so they're needing some positive examples, somebody that they can that will listen to them, and also you can pour back into them as well.
Now, when you said when you see teens that have low self-esteem, how do we identify that, Pastor Goodall? How do we identify children or teens or young adults have low self-esteem? How do we know what's going on with them? What kinds of behaviors are they going to be exhibiting that we know that it's a self-esteem issue?
Well, a lot of times, like I was saying a few minutes ago, often just listening to a child with low self-esteem, one of the things that they begin to do is to share how bad they feel about themselves. They may feel like they're not loved by people. They may feel their mother or family doesn't care, or that the school doesn't care, or individuals around them doesn't care. Another thing, like I said, is being awkward. They may be a little awkward in their attitude toward adults, toward their friends, and also the final one I would say is incompetent. They don't feel enough that they're able to do. So you may find a child that may act out and shut down, may not talk to you, may be angry, and may hide their feelings with and bring about and come out with anger. And may I say it that way? They may hide their true feelings, but use anger and frustration to really to express themselves, if I may put it that way. But that's one of the things. Then again, people with low self-esteem tend to be hypersensitive. They are very fragile. They have a very fragile sense of self that can easily be wounded by others. So you could say anything to them, and I mean, you could say something good to that person, but they will be very sensitive about it. May look at it in the wrong manner. It could be twisted. Another thing I could say is that. And like I said, they feel inadequate, incompetent about themselves. I think I said that a few minutes ago. But pretty much, here are just some of the questions I think they would say, a person look at ways. I'm getting ready to talk about this ways of overcoming it, though. A lot of times they're listening to their inner self, or their inner critic. And somebody, the thoughts that they have is, and here's just some of the thoughts that they may have. A person that with low self-esteem that they may have, they may say that to themselves. They're saying, "You're stupid. You're fat. Nobody likes you. You should be quiet every time you talk about. You just be quiet. Nobody's going to listen to you. Why can't you Why can't you be like other people? That inner voice may say you're worthless. And but like I said, it's just that having that self-worth about themselves and having somebody that can begin to share with them that you are somebody, you are going to make it. You have to see yourself doing these things. And a lot of times they do not see themselves in that because of that self-critic that's on the inside of them.
Okay, and I listen at you identifying one of the behaviors that we don't usually put name to, and you said sometimes they are just very hypersensitive and their ego's fragile sense of self. And a lot of times that's happening in teens, young adults, and a lot of people, and we just don't identify it as a self-esteem issue.
Right. And it is, yes, ma'am. And it's one of those that, like you said, it's just not identified. It's just not identified among us because, like I said, I'm one. I try to identify it, and once I pick up on it, like I said, some of the things that I will do because I'm a father. And I'm a father, and I do take on a lot of the students as that way at times. And one of the things, and I've had to do this a few times.
Mr. Goodall, we're going to come back. We're going to come back, and we're going to get all the information from you about how we handle all of these things that you've just said to us. We're going to have a short break, and when we come back, radio audience, we are going to be in for a treat. We're going to hear how we get past these low self-esteem issues. We're going to hear how we deal with incompetence and anger and high sensitivity in our kids. This is Tools for Teen Transformation Radio. I'm your host, Lily Williams, and my guest is Pastor Maurice Goodall, and we will be back with you in a few minutes. Please come back.
Become our friend on Facebook. Post your thoughts about our shows and network on our timeline. Visit Facebook.com/Voice America.
All over the country, we're seeking ways to stop just one more teen school shooting, to stop just one more teen suicide, just one more teen pregnancy, and just one more teen drug and alcohol addiction. Policies, rules, and regulations will not change teen behavior. The one known research-based strategy to change teen behavior is to change what and how teens think. As a result of using the concepts, ideas, and strategies outlined in Tools for Teen Transformation, teens have fallen in love with themselves, raised their self-esteem, made better choices, and changed their behaviors. They are living productive lives. Look for the book Tools for Teen Transformation coming soon and to be announced first at Coach Lily's website, perfectingdestiny.com. You may also visit her website if you'd like to support the cause of empowering youth, teens, and young adults to love themselves and add value to their lives and everyone around them. That's perfectingdestiny.com. And be sure to look for Coach Lily's upcoming book.
Are you a game changer in disguise? Are you tired of waking up every day saying, they soar like eagles, and I'm stuck in the nest? Well, wonder no more. It's time to soar. Of the world's millionaires, billionaires, and game changers, almost all started with at least one unique idea. Join Crystal for a controversial look at triumphs, tragedies, tools, and secrets for living a fun, financially free life with her successful guests. Listen to Soaring with Eagles, Tuesdays at 8 a.m. Pacific Time on Voice America Empowerment. And get ready to soar.
Do you sometimes feel powerless over your own life? Does it seem like you're living for someone else, unsure of what your purpose is, or if you even have an important voice? It's time to take back that control. Tune in to Empowered with Des and Jen. They've been in the same place and have learned to regain control of their lives. They also feature amazing guests who share experiences of how they have found success. Start on your journey by listening Mondays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on Voice America Empowerment.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You are tuned in to Tools for Teen Transformation with Lily Williams. Reach out to Coach Lily via email at perfectingdestinylifecoach@gmail.com. That's perfectingdestinylifecoach@gmail.com. Now, back to Tools for Teen Transformation.
Good morning and welcome back to Tools for Teen Transformation Radio. We are back. I'm your host, Lily Williams, and my guest is Pastor and School Administrator Maurice Goodall, and we're with you today to increase self-esteem. We're giving you tips to increase teen self-esteem, and I know that is a needed topic for everybody. We are looking at giving you ideas, strategies, mindsets, your thought processes, helping you to make better decisions and better choices on today. We're so glad to have Pastor Goodall with us this morning. And our first set, we mentioned having a good role model, having parents in our homes that would help us with our teens' esteem issues and keep them on the right track and to keep them built up and their confidence full. Now, Pastor Goodall, you and I both know that those are ideal situations, but we have so many situations that are not ideal, don't we? We have teenagers that are pretty much raising themselves. We have teenagers that have either or the parents in their homes, and we have teenagers that are with their grandparents or other adults. So if we have those teens and we're having issues like hypersensitive and fragile sense of self and having kids that are angry and incompetent in some areas and awkward in their attitudes, and how might we deal with them, Pastor Goodall? Let's talk about that group some, please.
Okay, we can do that. Often what I believe is that happens is a person does not have what I call self-compassion when they're in low self-esteem, particularly when it seems like, like you said, and it is true that there are a lot of, and we have students here as well, that raising themselves. So they feel as if no one really loves them. And so, but you have to have compassion for yourself, a love for yourself, and realize too is that we do have a Creator, and He's there with us too, and He can help you in the midst of that. But you do have to have self-compassion and not self-criticism. You can't be so hard on yourself. And I mean, that's the first step, I believe. And then having what I would say is which would develop your self-confidence. Because if you don't have compassion, if you don't love yourself, then that self-confidence it will not be there. So some of the things that I will say to a person or individual that may be out there may not have a mom or a dad that is there, and you may have been put out of your home, and we've had situations like that too, wherein that the mother and the father were not able to just get along, and the child had to go. But you need to still love yourself and then build self-confidence. And one thing that I found that a lot of students and peers do, they try to compare themselves with other people. That's a no. There's only one you, and God designed for you to have. He has a plan for you and a purpose for you. And I believe that finding your purpose and finding your plan in life and having a true blueprint for you can build that self-esteem. And then,
I like that.
Yeah, thank you for that. That was a good one. Do you want to add on to that? Or?
Yeah, I think I do. I really like that when you're talking about the self-confidence. And one of the other things that you and I both know that we have dealt with kids when they've got low self-confidence, we've asked them or try to work with them to think of one time. You said you don't compare yourself with other people, but think of one time that you have felt confident. Think of one time that things have worked out just like you needed to have worked out. And then you kind of like build on that. You say, well, if I was able to do that, then maybe I'll be able to do this.
Right.
So
yes,
you and I have spent a lot of, I won't say there were textbook methods, but I'll say some of them were your and my mom and dad methods of just hands-on things and working with the teens and getting to know them. And that's the one piece. If we know the teens, then we know when things are not right, don't we? We know when they're in that awkward state. We know they're angry. We know when they're hyper. We know these things. But a lot of times, you and I, we just have to, and particularly with the teen stage, we have to make them accountable for doing things that will build their own self-esteem. And I know you have got a whole list that you're going to share with us, during this, during our presentation today. But can I just say one thing, Pastor? You know that we always talk about the affirmations. You and I, when we're talking about affirmations, and we start out with I am and keeping our affirmations very positive. Affirmations are things that we're going to say to ourselves. That's why we say I am. And your affirmations are directed right toward you, right? And your affirmations have to be very positive and very short and specific. And you bring them in the present moment. You say, that's why you say I am. I am, right. I am, right. And all of your affirmations have to be specific to you to be effective for you. So some of our teens, we're teaching them to affirm things that they have not been able to do that they can do, things to affirm the way they look and all those kinds of things. But Pastor, let me tell you this, you and I, in a school setting, we would call it affirmations. We will call it a lot of other names. But what we really want our radio audience to know is that we are working directly with the team when we talk about our affirmation. We're giving them ideas, strategies, and helping them to make better decisions, aren't we?
Right.
Okay.
They have to be the one. the student or the child has to be the one, or may I say teens, have to be the one to make that decision, because life is based on quality decisions. It's based on decisions that you make, and nobody else can make that decision except for you. And I learned that for myself throughout my entire life, and even as a teenager, there were decisions that I made that were the right decisions, and there were other decisions that I made that were not so right decisions, that were just basically wrong. But when I got on the right track and started having that confidence within myself, confidence in my Creator, and moving forward with that, and knowing who I am, whose I am, my heritage, from whence I came from, and it's rich. There's greatness that's down on the inside of every human being. And you just have to realize that you're great, and you're here for a purpose. And once a person can begin to see that they have purpose and destiny, there's a designated place that's set for them on this earth. Oh, it can just move mountains, and within those mountains and the giants that are on the inside of them, by making those affirmations and saying, I am, confident. I am great, because everything, once you start saying I am, whatever you say will begin to follow you. I mean, the laws, laws come into action. This is just natural laws, and things come into place and spiritual laws as well. They just begin to come into place for you because you're speaking this. Somebody said this, that your tongue is the pen of a ready writer. So you can really write your script if you desire to. Whatever it is that you desire to do in life, write it down. Write it down and begin to, step by step, things that you want to do 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, could even be 50 years from now. But you have something on paper that you can literally look at and mark off as you complete those goals, and come back and address it the next year, and just watch the pattern, and you'll see that this will give you self-confidence. It'll give you confidence within to know, if I did this, I can do that. If I can make it through this, I can make it through that as well. So that, right now,
Pastor Goodall, yours and my confidence is increasing even while we're speaking. You said that life is made on the quality of decisions that we make, and you're asking them to write it down. And all the time, the teens, how they are. They want to know, what does it look like? Write down what? And you named a lot of things that they should be writing down and going back and checking out. And I appreciate that. And you and I both know that would certainly raise our confidence, raise our self-esteem. One other thing I would like to ask our radio audience and the teens to write down today is to list your wins. You mentioned when you started to feel good about yourself, and when you started to do things about yourself, writing things down, that it becomes reality to you. So wouldn't you say today that if they would list down every time that they've had some good success, and celebrate it?
Celebrate, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's one thing we don't do enough, is celebrate our small accomplishments. We're waiting to conquer the world. When you conquer just one small thing, celebrate that and add to it. And all of these are confidence builders for our teams. You said write down what you want to do 5 years, 10 years from now. Write down a month from now, a day from now, and go ahead and celebrate it.
That's right. You're absolutely right. And those are some things I've learned this through my lifetime. But I had people though that were mentors, and that were able to pour that into me. And this type of radio broadcast is just for that, for helping you to get to the next level, and even having, which we mentioned a few minutes ago, and here's something else I'd just like to add in, having that self-confidence, the self-esteem, but also self-respect. I feel like, you know, you have to respect yourself as well. And when I say that, there should be some principles that you should obtain, you know, with that. And everyone, well, you know, you could say, well, I have my own principles, but there are some foundational principles that I believe that our Creator has given us, and I might say God has given us, that we could also have as well, that we can adopt as ours. And when when you have self-respect, that means you're not going to, you know, when you're around people, you don't want to disrespect people. You want to respect your elders. You want to respect your peers that are around you, because when you begin to sow respect, respect will come back to you. Because the saying is, what goes around comes around, and respect will go a long way. When people begin to see that you're respecting individuals, that lets them know that you come from a place, a good place, and you begin to have self-worth and self-respect for you. You don't go around looking any kind of way. You'll consider, you know, how you look. You look in the mirror, and when you do look in the mirror, you can feel good about yourself. And sometimes I wonder if some of our young people, that some of them, I mean, I'm not going to say all of them, but, you know, just by looking at some, have they looked in the mirror and really looked at themselves and spoken to themselves and said, I am somebody, and I can make it in this world. And I know this is the society today that we live in. It's just like anything goes, but at the same time, there are some things that shouldn't go, because there are some things that doesn't show self-respect.
Yes.
One of the things that I do know that we have within our community here, and it may be in other communities as well, is that sometimes students do not wear their pants up on don't wear belts and don't wear their pants up. And, you know, they're showing their underwears and things of that nature. In my day, we didn't do that. A young man would wear a belt. His pants would be on would be on. He would have a nice shirt on, and it just wouldn't be sagging. And even today, young ladies, when they're showing themselves cleavages and, I mean, just everything under the sun that only their husband should really see. You're just saying, I'm available to individuals. And I could say likewise to the males, because in prisons, most people that in the prison, a person that was in prison that did that, particularly with a male, you know, with the slouchy pants, they're saying, I'm available, you know, and you really don't want to do that. I know it's a style that goes on, but you need to know where it came from, you know, before you start doing anything. And so, so some of the principles that self-respect is just, you know, there with me. You want to add?
And as a life coach, yes, because as a life coach, what we would say when we're talking about the self-respect and that principle, as a life coach, you know, we're always trying to make sure that they know what it looked like. If I say respect yourself, what does respect look like? What does respect sound like? And you've mentioned a lot of it today, you know, even in the way you dress, being as appropriate as you can, dressing for the occasions. Specifically, respect would mean that you are acknowledging people in your presence. You know, sometimes just walking into a room and saying good morning is showing that you respect that those people are there. You respect them being there, and you know that they're there. It's just acknowledging. And sometimes, you know, just the tone of your voice, or how you're saying things or making requests, all of that shows respect. And you already mentioned considering how it is that you look talk, and act, and places that you go. If you are self-respecting of yourselves, teenagers, there are certain places that you would not go because it's not going to add value to you, might get you in trouble. There's something else about that self-respect. There are certain people that you're not going to let in your circle because they're not going to, they're not going to add value to you. They're not going to uplift you and get you to the place that you need to be. So all of this is saying self-respect. And Pastor Goodall, we had used another word back in one of the other broadcasts to our teens. It's similar to self-respect, and we called it self-advocate. And that was, that they advocate for themselves what's good for them. And so, look, I've got a resource that I need to share before I forget it. Let me share that resource. If we have our teens and our young adults to go to livestrong.com, livestrong.com, there are bundles of resources that you can get on every area under increasing self-esteem. And we already know, Pastor Goodall, that we can go to this internet and get almost anything. Now, we can go and get ideas on increasing self-esteem and advice for teens. The YouTube. So there are always there are books that they can read in order. Only thing you have got to do, not the only thing, but one of the things that you've got to do, teens and young adults, if you feel like you need help, there's always help for you. Isn't that right? Always.
That's right. Always, yes.
And one of the other things we were going to do is to continue talking with you about some more ideas, some more tips on increasing self-esteem. One I want to talk about, Pastor Goodall, let me speak about this one. You know, if we could, everybody makes mistakes, right? Oh, we'll agree. We have passed our break. We have passed our break. We will come back with Tools for Teen Radio. This is your host, Lily Williams, and our co-host, Pastor Goodall. Come back with us.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
All over the country, we're seeking ways to stop just one more teen school shooting, to stop just one more teen suicide, just one more teen pregnancy, and just one more teen drug and alcohol addiction. Policies, rules, and regulations will not change teen behavior. The one known research-based strategy to change teen behavior is to change what and how teens think. As a result of using concepts, ideas, and strategies outlined in Tools for Teen Transformation, teens have fallen in love with themselves, raised their self-esteem, made better choices, and changed their behaviors. They are living productive lives. Look for the book Tools for Teen Transformation coming soon and to be announced first at Coach Lily's website, perfectingdestiny.com. You may also visit her website if you'd like to support the cause of empowering youth, teens, and young adults to love themselves and add value to their lives and everyone around them. That's perfectingdestiny.com. And be sure to look for Coach Lily's upcoming book.
If you've always wanted to take the lead in your life, but you don't believe you are a leader, then it's time to change that mindset. Leadership expert Linda Patton will help you discover the powerful leader that lives within and teach you the leadership skills that will transform your business and your life. Stepping into your leadership brings reality to your vision, and leadership can be learned. Find out more on Leadership Stars every Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Empowerment Channel.
Think you've seen everything there is to see in online television? Let us surprise you. Visit voiceamerica.tv today for sports, health, business, and more on demand 24/7.
You are tuned in to Tools for Teen Transformation with Lily Williams. Reach out to Coach Lily via email at perfectingdestinylifecoach@gmail.com. That's perfectingdestinylifecoach@gmail.com. Now, back to Tools for Teen Transformation.
I am so glad that you are back with us, our radio audience. So glad you're back. Tools for Teen Transformation Radio. I'm your host, Lily Williams, and my special guest is Pastor Maurice Goodall. And we're giving you tips on how to increase your confidence, your self-esteem in our teen population today. And I thank you so much again, Pastor Goodall, for being with us on today. We're giving them some good ideas. We're giving strategies. Yes, we're giving them tools to transform their thinking today. We're wanting to give them different mindsets, change the way you've been thinking. We want to accelerate your thought process into thinking good things about yourself. We talked about affirmations, a lot of things today. Want you to make better decisions. And being respectful and decreasing the anger and all those kinds of things. We're helping you to make better choices today on Tools for Teen Transformation Radio. And because our topic today is tips to increase teen self-esteem, there's one thing that I want to talk about, and then I'm going to pass the mic back to Pastor Goodall. We want to talk about your mistakes. You know, a lot of times when teens make mistakes, when they don't accomplish what it is they want to accomplish and they feel like they have failed and there are obstacles in the way, that you and I have found, it shuts down a lot of teenagers, won't it? It'll just draw them into a situation where they're not willing to do what it is they need to do when their self-confidence have been attacked. I'm going to pass the mic over to you, and we're going to think about the mistakes that they've made, and we're going to think about turning them into accomplishments.
Yes, ma'am. First and foremost, I can say this, and without reservation, there's no perfect person on the earth. So everyone makes mistakes, and that's one of the first things that you have to share with a young person and with anyone that basically makes a mistake. And for young people and teens, a lot of times you may want to not make a mistake. Well, if you keep living, you're going to make mistakes, and you have to look at mistakes as a learning experience. And not if you do make a mistake, don't sit there and beat yourself up. You look at where you are, see how you can do it better, and make decisions or plans or strategies not to go back and to do those things again. So a lot of times, what I encourage people to do, the first thing I ask the young person, how could you have done it better? And generally that person will respond to me, what I'm thinking, and if not, then I can share some things that I may feel like you may need to do. But don't look at your mistakes as the worst thing in the world. It's part of life. It's part of your growing process, because we all are human and we're subject to error. And when you do error, you just, after you realize you're wrong, just confess the fact, hey, I'm wrong, I did it. Now, what are we going to do now? We got to move forward. So in your moving forward, shake that stuff off. Let's forget about it. Stop condemning yourself, because condemning yourself doesn't help you in the process. But begin to say, okay, I can do better. And I can do better. I need, and I often, like I said, I being a pastor, I just ask the Lord to help me along the way, and just ask the Creator to help you. Lord, just help me in this, and then give me some plans, give me some strategies, or somebody that I can talk to that's already gone through it. And usually, a lot of times, I've already gone through what you've had to go through. So, you just take those tips that people give you, particularly, like I said, adults, people that have already gone through it, and apply it. And then set up those safeguards when if you're weak in an area and you see yourself going in a direction, you may want to have a buddy that you can talk to or somebody that you can go to when you start feeling a certain way. You start feeling, let's just say, I've had certain students that have gotten pregnant, or and they need someone. Generally, a lot of times they have low self-esteem and feel bad about themselves because sometimes the young man that may have been with them really denies having had the child or being with that individual, and so they're by themselves. And so you have to have individuals that will support you and somebody that's been there. And that's somebody in your family or somebody at the school that can share things with you about not getting yourself back in that again, but you want to move forward with that and realize is that you still have a long life ahead of you. Yes, you made the mistake, but that mistake is really for you to help somebody else not to go through the same thing that you went through. So you learn from this process. Look at it as a learning experience and use those strategies. And follow through with them. And that's the way I look at it, Ms. Williams, and as life experience. But you can't beat yourself up. You got to move on.
You got to. And what we say as coaches is sometimes you win, and sometimes you learn. Right. That's a John Maxwell term that we do in leadership, and when we're talking to teens. Life is all about learning. Life is all about making mistakes. If you never make a mistake, it means you've never done anything. Right. So we want to teach our teens that what we want them to do is to flip the mistake. You've already said you kind of like examine what it was that you should have done better, and then do you do that? When you learn from a mistake, it is growth. When you learn from a mistake, when you learn, and you said it, you're always able to help somebody else in that area. So there are some more tips that we need to give? Okay. Yes, ma'am. One thing, and I would like to, there may be some parents that are out there, I know our teens may say, well, how can my parent help me? Well, your parent can also be generous with their praise towards you. You need a positive person in your life, and your parents usually are the ones that are there to encourage you and give praise to you. And you're also in a conflict. Whenever you're in a conflict, you need some support. Parents can be there for that as well, or maybe just a family member or a person that's close to you. But you need support during a conflict that you're in particular if someone is bullying you, and if someone's bullying you in school and making you feel inadequate and bad about yourself, get with somebody that you can really just talk to. There are counselors at school, and also if you can't
don't feel like you can talk to the counselor, find a pastor, find a friend that has, that may have gone through it, or a family member that you can really, really talk to and begin to express that to that individual. And in the process of doing so, here again, you take that information and that they're giving you, and you apply it. Like I said, you just have to.
Thank you.
You just have to do it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Pastor Goodall. We do appreciate all the information that you have given us, and we are having maybe another minute to get you some more information to our radio audience.
Okay.
And we want to make sure that is there anything we need to make sure that they get in our 1 minute segment?
Yes, ma'am. Well, if you want more information from me, just like to speak with us, you can reach us by mail. Just send us a letter at P.O. Box. My name is Pastor Maurice Goodall at P.O. Box 471, LaGrange, NC 28551. That's our mailing address. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Pastor Goodall. And you have been listening to Tools for Teen Transformation Radio. I want to thank my guests again, Pastor Goodall, for helping us this morning. And come back with us next week. Next week, we will be looking at how we inspire our teens to stay in school. This has been your host, Coach Lily Williams. You have been listening to Tools for Teen Transformation Radio. And remember, teens and young adults, there is always a more excellent way.
Thank you for joining Coach Lily and Tools for Teen Transformation. You'll want to be here for another show next Tuesday at 7 a.m. Pacific Time, 10 a.m. Eastern on the Voice America Empowerment Channel. Until then, use some of what you've learned today to start a dialogue and be there for someone. It just might save a teen's life.